I am an absolute huge fan of horror. I have loved horror since I was just a wee lad, and I am one of those people that are so pretentious about this medium that I think horror deserves shots at the Oscars. I genuinely believe that. Today marks, I believe, what could be episode one of a little series I put together where I talk about horror films and why they're so perfect. And today we're going to be talking about Smile. This is a movie that I find myself just all over with. Allow me to start off by saying what I said. This is a review of mine uh, from, what is this? October, right? No. Here. October 6th, 2022, shortly after the film's release. Smile is a terrifying and thrilling experience. I was tense all throughout. I am a rather large horror fan, so normally I am accustomed to scares and jumps, and can call them out or even predict them if they are executed poorly. Do not be fooled. This is not a silly or goofy so bad it's a good or comedically bad movie. This movie shines through your expectations and finds a way to be a psychological thrill ride and mental gore fest. Do go see this movie, for it will give you a fun and expecting ride. My only gripes and issues with the film suffers from the idea that it comes from a movie with a similar story, Truth or Dare, which is a much lesser enjoyed film, but this film is very, very different, and people will only associate this movie with the poorer predecessor. This film also tries to be an A24 horror film at times, but other than that, it's an amazing watch, and I very much enjoy it. Do not listen to that last part. Looking back 2 years later, which is wild, I don't feel that anymore. I don't. But let's go into this little film, shall we? Smile, easily one of the greatest modern horror films of all time. This film is straight up bonkers, and I mean that in every way but negative. I can't get over this film, and I can't escape it. I personally have the steelbook and the poster for this film, and every year I find myself curled back up into a little ball watching this. Let me, of course, at first preference my experience with this movie because every experience is, of course, different. For those who follow me, as I stated in my previous review on Letterboxd, I am a huge horror fan, which is very much true. I love horror. I see horror as an art, as a medium. It is not a genre. Every horror movie has an Oscar-worthy performance. Every movie starts at a 10 out of 10 and goes down the more it annoys me. That's how I review. And I'm very rarely frightened by horror films. I know that's such like a macho man thing to say, but horror, I've seen so many it becomes predictable. I just know when it's coming. I have an idea of where and why it's happening, what's going to happen, and I just have an understanding of, why and what's going to happen. Most horror films leave me in a state of shock that I witnessed a movie go. Usually, when you see a movie, typically of the A24 variety or the quote elevated horror variety, it is one of those things where if it's elevated correctly, it is seen as quote niche, to find A24 or Neon, which, and in my previous review, is probably what I was saying, judging by the ending. And of course, I'm not going to go too deep into this movie. Save that for another time when I do like a huge video analysis on this movie, because I very much want to. This movie is a passion project. This roller coaster will not leave my head. I saw this film early 2022. No, late 2022, because that's when the film came out. Sorry, I can't read. Um, and genuinely, this movie, it won't escape. It won't leave my head. Every time I watch this movie, I find myself just in a state of, why am I watching this again? And I'm in a ball curled up, just like, ugh. And the scares don't even get me anymore because I see them coming. But yet, year after year, I find myself turning down the volume, turning up the volume, putting my hood up, putting my hair over my eyes. I saw this movie in a 200-person seated theater. The theater was completely empty. I sat in front of a speaker, and if you've seen Smile, you would know this movie is loud. It is so loud and frightening and over the top with its jump scares. Once the movie ended, I bolted out the theater. I then saw this movie 3 more times in theaters. I had no idea how to approach this film. I have recently forced a couple of my friends to watch this film. As of recording this, it was 2 days ago. As of recording this, it was yesterday. My buddy, I kid you not, said this film was better than Hereditary. And I both agree and disagree. Hereditary is an Oscar-worthy movie that will forever be snubbed of every award it didn't win. It is an art piece, it is mastery, it is phenomenal. Smile is a journey that never ends. It is a film that kicks your gut and shanks you while you're down. I do also believe that Sosie Bacon deserves an Oscar for this movie, and the cinematography is that of Oppenheimer. It is just phenomenal. The scares in this film also just work remarkably well. My favorite reviews to read of this film are the ones that people just talk about how miserable the movie made them feel, which in my opinion is what horror should all be about. Horror should be about how you feel, what you feel, and why you feel it. It's everything you want and everything you don't want. Horror is, I guess, to quote Tyler from The Menu, it dances around with life. You grow to love characters, you grow to fear characters, you grow to despise characters. You grow with the movie, and the movie gives you a thrill, an experience, something that is life. This film has a force to it that I personally think pulls you in. The idea of someone staring deep at you is an impulse to your brain to pay attention. We are trained to give eye contact in conversations as a sign of respect. We are drawn to stare deep into people without breaking anything or breaking away. Adding smiling just makes an uncomfortable force that we feel we must turn our heads. This movie follows a really cool science that, of course, maybe I'm just reading too deeply into. The cinematography and acting, fuck you, is Oscar-worthy. I, again, 100% believe that. The cold open alone puts you in a state of what the fuck, and the entire rest of the movie keeps you in that state of fear. Every character is believable in their realistic depictions of how people would act in these situations. This movie is amazing, and I will always come back to it as it is a phenomenal movie and an absolute standout of a film. The mere cold open alone sends you in a chill, and if you don't believe me, take a watch.
Have you or anyone else in your family ever experienced hallucinations?
It's not an hallucination. No, it's real. You don't get it. It does things to me. It causes to happen around me. It's taken over my whole life and my mind, and it tells me things. It told me that today's the day that I'm gonna.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. I know that what you're experiencing feels incredibly real. Sometimes when we get emotionally overwhelmed or experience an intense trauma, our minds...
You're not listening to me! Oh my God! I'm gonna die and no one will listen to me.
Okay, Laura, it's okay.
Oh, God.
Hey, it's okay. Laura, hey, can you look at me, please? It's okay. Look at me.
Oh my God! No! No, it's here!
Laura, hey, it's okay. It's just us. There's nobody else here. I have a patient emergency in eval 2. I need staff here now. Hurry. Laura?
And that's just the whole movie, pretty much. The movie is unrelenting. It is like there's never a chance to breathe. I very much want to start doing more talks about stuff like this. I guess you can call this a review. I want to do more like I want to be the Shafrillis productions of horror, you know. I think horror is on par with animation in terms of you can tell any story you want with it. You can tell any story you need with it. So many games, so many movies, so many TV shows. It's all connected. I live by a motto that I myself gave. You can have anything in horror. Whether it's romance, comedy, animation, children, family, anything. But you can't have horror in everything, if that makes sense. Horror is something you can do whatever you want with. New actors, new ideas, new stories. Everything takes inspiration from others. I hear a lot of people talk about how this is It Follows meets The Ring. And sure, there are similarities. I don't see it completely. I look at every horror movie as something original. This is also the same guy you're listening to who saw Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey in theaters and had a blast. I just think horror is something to be enjoyed, and going forward, I think that's just what we need. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm very passionate about what I'm talking about, and I very much going forward would like to talk more about horror as a medium that it is, and maybe one day we'll get horror at the Oscars and James and Chelsea can host it. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.